That kid got it the worst. I was like,
It's
hell yeah.
when I listened to the replay, Tyler said that, and the day before we did our last stream, I actually watched Evil Dead Rise with my sister and my brother-in-law, and my nephew. They all loved it, and
Evil Dead Rise was awesome because the
I,
children are dying too. Usually the
yeah,
children are safe, and when
and
the kids are getting killed, you're like, oh my
and the
god, oh
funny
fuck,
part,
this is
after
bad.
Oh, believe me when
I,
I say, like, talk to me roughs up kids
Hell
real
yeah.
hard.
Well,
There's this
it's about teenagers doing like Ouija type shit, right?
They do
yeah,
this Ouija type thing,
Yeah,
and
what
I'm
the
not
heck?
kidding. It's kind of a metaphor for like drug use among teens. There's peer
Social
pressure getting into
passing
it.
the joint around type thing.
It becomes like a way for them to numb out the pain of their personal lives, or they do it
yeah,
for a thrill seeking kind of thing. And of course, the consequences of like drug addiction and overdose translate very well to body possession, especially when the
Yeah.
youngest kid has this certain scene with a brick wall and an
yeah.
eye that was easily the goriest moment in the movie and made me wish that there was more gore in it because
Yeah.
for a movie that was made by guys who got taken off of YouTube for being too violent, I honestly wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, with my vampire book, one of the things I want to talk about is obviously like the big one is like spousal abuse and domestic violence. But the other big metaphor is, drug addiction and alcohol, like just addiction in general. And the thing about the vampire is like, sometimes like the vampire can represent the addict, needing the substance, or the vampire can also represent the substance and the human is the addict, and it's draining the life from you. It works both. The metaphor works both ways. It's cool. Vampires, man. But as far as like talk to me, like that seems like just like It Follows, like just seemed like a real fresh idea of a cool take on a new movie, of a horror movie. And I doubt it'll.
There are
Sure.
some story cliches that I could have done without. Like, why I gotta ask, like, why are horror movies starting off the first 5 minutes with like an unrelated character who either comes back halfway through or not at all? Like, I genuinely don't get what purpose that serves.
Yeah. I mean, usually it's like what it does is it's kind of because you got to set off. You got to have an intro scene. You got to have an opening
It's like
scene.
the friend who's helping you pack the back of your Jeep, and then you don't see him again until you like finally get service, and you text like 911, help me, and then he shows up and he's like, oh my god, what's happened to you?
So you think of like the Lost Boys, you got to have like the monster kill somebody at the beginning of the movie, so that way you understand there's danger. But then we've got to see the new main character. We cut to the main character who's now the new character, and they're going to find out later, oh, someone was killed by the monster in the opening scene. And, we get to know this character as we see one character's voyage end at the beginning of the movie, basically, as it's handed off to like the new main character, I guess, is usually why they do that.
Well, yeah, but like, here's the thing. There's a right way to do that, and there's a wrong way to do that. I think probably the best example for me, it was The Empty Man, where you think that within 5 minutes, like, this one group of people who discover the Empty Man are going to be killed like 5 minutes in. But no, their segment goes on for like 20 minutes, and we learn more about those characters. We see what this entity does to them. And there's a little bit more of an element of mystery surrounding what this entity has to do with the main character, or how the main character is going to come into fruition. But for Talk to Me and Evil Dead Rise, some stranger who you don't really give a shit about, like, kills somebody and then themselves. And it's just like, I don't even know your name. I really couldn't give a shit what happens to you. And then, and because nobody actually references it until maybe like halfway through the movie, where one guy actually did survive, I completely forgotten that it even happened.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, oh, hey, somebody has to like stab themselves in the eye because that's a good way to start the movie. And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you with that kind of stuff. It's funny because like my vampire book kind of starts the same way. You got a vampire attacking a woman, right? And then you meet a new woman, and now she's getting stalked by the vampire. And the vampire, like, kind of basically forces its way into her home gradually. Next thing you know, she's like the vampire's familiar. But like, yeah, big twist towards like, the end is you find out, you come back to the first girl, and you realize like he's got multiple of these bitches at the same time. Like, this woman thinks she's special, and you kind of remember like, oh, there was another woman at the beginning. You realize like, oh yeah, like she's not special. Like, this vampire has like a fucking dozen of these women that just like running errands for him and giving him blood whenever he needs it, He's just going
It's
around
a
like
really
milking
great
these.
state of
Yeah,
vampires.
he's just flying around town milking these little cows, once every other day or so. Yeah, preying on people. That's what these vampires do. They're demons. They're blood-sucking demons, and they use people to get your blood. That's all they do. They lie to you and deceive you to get your blood. That's all they want is your blood.
I read a book one
That's
time
simple.
about 2 lesbian vampires, and they stay like in the state that they're in once they get turned, and they stay in that state forever. And this girl was on her period, and she got turned by like her lesbian master or whatever, and she stayed on her period forever.
Oh,
and
cool!
You're like in love with her because it was a nonstop flow of blood.
That's sick. I love it. Tyler's face says it all.
Tyler's face, I was about to say. Look at that.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
I mean, dude, yeah. I mean, I like that kind of stuff, like gross. Let's take a standard like vampire or werewolf story and make it disgusting. Like, I like the idea of like a werewolf. The guy wakes up naked, right? And he's like, "Oh God, I was a werewolf last night." But like, the first thing he does, like a hangover, instead of like vomiting all this like beer, you vomit all this like raw human meat. Oh God,
no.
like fucking wedding rings and shit in there and clothes.
Tyler's
no.
face again.
Yeah, like that's how you start the movie. You don't even see the werewolf. You just cut to like the desert. Naked guy waking up. He's like, no, not again. Like vomit all this fucking disgusting like viscera. Hell yeah.
Like some eyeballs and a little hair.
It's a human because like, yeah, chunks of clothes and stuff. Like, oh God, no, not again. I didn't handcuff myself to the tree in time. Fuck. Because that's the other thing is
Maybe
like
that could be your book.
Because that'd be a good. No, I have a shape-shifting werewolf story too. The idea is like, yeah, how do you? Because like everyone, most werewolf movies are about the guy who becomes a werewolf and then he dies shortly after. Because a werewolf theoretically wouldn't last very long. Because unlike a vampire, like vampires don't need to kill. I don't like it when vampires have to kill you to drink your blood. They don't need to kill you at all. They can literally just drink like a fucking.
Drink the last
they
drop,
can drink a cup of blood
Yeah.
and come back next week. Like what?
Sure.
They don't need that much blood. And if they're doing that like 10 times over with 10 different people. And then they also got a familiar, like giving them more vampire people.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, dude. Vampires are methodical. Werewolf is a rampage. Werewolf is like, you'll kill your own family. You got to get your loved ones away from you. You become a monster. You'll kill your children and your fucking wife. You'll rip them into pieces. And I like the Harry Potter idea that like in Harry Potter world, the werewolf in most of the movies, like you wake up, you have no memory. But in the Harry Potter memory world, you have total memory. You know everything you did. You're like haunted.
Like the Hulk.
Yeah. So like the idea is a werewolf would either kill themselves or be killed pretty quickly. Like it would only take like 2 or 3 full moons before the town is like on alert, like walking around with shotguns everywhere. Like
imagine if that happened and you like wanted to kill yourself and then you like shot yourself in the head with like a 357 and then.
Yeah, somehow you came back.
Silver bullet.
I'm gonna do a question tomorrow, but ask everybody now. Especially for Enzo, which werewolf and vampire do you prefer? Do you prefer where the werewolf is the vampire's servant, or the one where the vampire is scared shitless of the werewolf?
No, I like where like vampires and werewolves don't get along. They're like kind of equally matched. It's like dogs and cats,
Okay.
But like dogs, you wouldn't say like dogs are like a cat's servant,
How you feel,
but they're definitely like, you could argue that dogs are lower creatures than cats, but you could also argue dogs are man's best friend. Werewolves are more in tune to human spirit. Vampires are not human anymore. They are not human. They're not from the realm of the living. They're from the realm of the dead. They're kind of
like what you just said though. They're monsters, whereas vampires live among the rest of us and blend in.
See, because it depends it depends on the story, because in some mythology, werewolves are way stronger than vampires, but the key thing is they can't control the transformation, and so in times that they're weaker, the vampires control them. So it depends on how you look at it. But I like
in a Monster Squad where seriously, he has the werewolf. The Wolfman is like a hostage. He's like tied up and doped up. He puts like tranquilizers in him, and then when the moon is full, he becomes the werewolf. And Dracula, because he has like insane mind control powers. Like, yes, he could. The idea is a vampire. I like it when the vampire has like insane, like mental, like hypnosis, like superpowers. Like you break when you. it's not that the vampires. I don't like that the vampires are so beautiful. They're these angelic. You're attracted to them. I don't like that. I like the idea that it's like a fucking hideous demon, but like when you fucking lock eyes with it, you are under its spell. Like it'll make you do things you don't want to do, like open the door or fucking, kill your cat, whatever. Like you are under its spell. Like it can project thoughts into your mind. It can read your thoughts. It can make you, like I said, do things against your will. Maybe even telekinesis. Maybe it can even move things with its mind.
Stop hitting yourself.
The vampire can turn into fucking mist. It can turn into other animals, like really supernatural shit. I love that stuff. And the werewolf, you guy turns into a big dog from hell, and that's cool. But it has to be like from hell. It can't be like I hate it when it's like a virus. A cool take that I do like, I don't mind, is like it's like a military super experiment. We're gonna breed our soldiers to turn them into a werewolf, and that sounds cool. There's a movie there.
Yeah, that was a very subtle reference there.
That's why it's like with Luke. Like, did you think it's better that should the vampire be scared of the werewolf, or it should be role reversed?
Hello, nerdy film girl. Pleasure having you here.
Vampires should never be scared of the werewolf.
Yeah, I like the "What's We Do in Shadows" style, where they they're like warring high schools, like you know what I mean? Like they're the fucking high school football teams are constantly busting each other's balls.
But even those guys are methodical. They're just like, oh, you have to take our clothes off. Like they're gonna rip the second we transform, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the one part of the movie that I like What We Do in the Shadows, but like the vampire versus werewolf stuff, that was when it was just great for me.
Well, it's also even better in the show too, because they keep coming back. It's like
really?
I'm watching the new season, and Nandor's like banging a werewolf. It's like hilarious. But yeah, I mean, werewolves. I mean, the thing is, like, I would much rather deal with a fucking castle full of vampires than one werewolf. You know what I mean? Because, like, vampires, like I said, they might not even want to kill you. You could probably reason with them. They probably just want a little bit of blood. I mean, I think they're going to murder you necessarily. Whereas a werewolf, the vampire can't even enter your house unless it's invited in. You know what I mean? Yeah. The vampire has to knock on your door and be like, "Can you let me in so I can drink your blood?"
And they have weaknesses.
The werewolf, this is a werewolf attack. You would walk outside, you'd be like, "What's that sound?" And it's like something digging in the trash can, and you'd walk and you'd see like a giant like bear shaped thing, and it'd look at you and just be like, "Brr!" And you'd be like, "What the fuck?" And you'd shut the door and you'd run in. And it would just burst in through the front door, just and you'd be like, "Holy shit!" You'd go hide in the closet somewhere, and the werewolf like comes in, and it just like smells. It just knows exactly where you are, and it just starts like thumping right towards the closet. Fucking rips the closet door open, and just like goes to town and rips you to shreds.
It smells you as you shit your pants.
Yeah, shit and blood spraying everywhere. Ah! The werewolf's just like, rah, and then your wife comes in. Oh my god! And then the werewolf sees her, rah, gets her. It's just like kill crazy rampage, dude. Like,
did the werewolf eat your kids too?
Yeah, dude, you kill everyone in the house, and then fucking cops come, dude. Exactly, a nightmare. This is why werewolves don't last long, because the neighborhood goes on watch the next full moon. They're like, I don't know what the hell. It's been 2 full moons in a row now, where 13 people have been killed, and. Yeah, I don't know. Or like I said, the werewolf is so stricken with guilt, he fucking kills himself.
He wakes up after killing all those people, and he's like, Mother, I didn't mean to.
Past Lives, that Asian romance film.
Yes, and thank you, Tracy, for reminding me. I really got to get to that at some point. But, Chris, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Do you really need our opinions after what just happened?
What do you mean?
Of what?
About that question of yours.
Do
you really need us to answer which is better after whatever the hell that was?
Oh yeah, my acting, I call it.
Because it's interesting because like something like Van Helsing, I like the fact that Dracula, they can't stop this motherfucker, but a werewolf.
See, I don't like the only thing that can kill Dracula is a werewolf. It's like, okay, come on, it's the poison, the venom, the werewolf venom.
We all watched fucking Tales from the Crypt. That's one of my top 5 favorite episodes of all time. That fucking little kid.
Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
The family, the mysterious family adopts this boy from the from the orphanage, the feral older boy that nobody wants because he runs away every night. And of course, they lock him away in this room full of toys in this mansion. And the butler comes and just feeds him nothing but desserts and candy for weeks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it turns out that the parents are vampires and they're going to drink this boy's sweet blood. And, of course, it turns out that the boy is a werewolf and he kills the vampires.
Yeah.
Some of the Tales from the Crypt episodes were a little silly.
Yeah.
Some of them were actually good.
There was a point that it was just like, because vampires they're so chaotic, they're so scary that there's one. I mean, I like the fact that the vampires, there's something that they're afraid of.
Yeah. Well, werewolves are worse because vampires. Here's the thing about vampires. This is something I also want to talk about in my book. Is vampires, much like whatever metaphor you want to put this to. It's kind of like this could work for a lot of metaphors. But the idea about vampires is they have an insane amount of power. Like I was talking about this hypnosis and all this crazy shit they could do. They have this insane amount of power if they have power over you. But if they have no power over you, they are extremely fragile. They are extremely vulnerable. Yeah. Like they have a massive Achilles heel. The sunlight will kill them. You can literally just fucking burn their fucking house down in the middle of the day, go inside and run a stake through their heart, fucking open up that coffin. There you go. It's dead.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be hard to kill a vampire if you set out to do it, if you did it right. Like killing a vampire, like you have to attack it at daytime. Like trying to fight a vampire at night would be like trying to fight a shark in the water. You want to bring the shark out in the fucking land, fight the shark out on dry land. There you go. You got a fighting chance now.
It's funny, you're reminding me of a Family Feud question that kind of has the opposite reaction. Like the question is, what would you do if you knew you were living next to a vampire? And, you'd expect the same stuff like a cross, garlic, a steak. But one guy literally says, I'd buy a new house. and Harvey just laughs his ass off. He just goes, that's a hood answer. We're not calling 911. We're not going to sort this out. Pack it up. Yeah. And it wasn't up there, which I don't understand. That's actually a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is it? Not everyone's as clever as that character. That's what it was. But yeah, I want to watch him. I want to watch him Talk to Me Too very soon as well.
Sure.